I don't know who needs to hear this today, but whatever burden you're bearing, whatever anxiety is distracting you and stressing you out, there is peace and comfort at the cross of Christ. Focusing on being reminded of what Jesus did on the cross for you and me can go a long way towards easing your anxiety. John Moore was a British Baptist minister. He was an author and he was also a composer. While serving at Seamen's Chapel in Glasgow, he was called by the secretary of the hospital to visit a young merchant seaman who was critically ill. Let's listen to Moore's account of that experience. After getting permission from the nursing sister, I went to visit the young sailor. I found him glad to have a visitor and eager to hear what I had to say. I talked about general things for a few moments and then put my hand in my case for a tract, not knowing which one I was going to pull out. It happened to be a tract based on Pilgrim's Progress, with a color reproduction of the pilgrim coming to the cross with a great burden on his back. I showed the young seaman this picture and told him the story in brief, adding the pilgrim's experience had been my own experience as well. The more I told him, the more anxious he became. I explained that when I came to the cross of Christ, my burden rolled away and my sense of sin and guilt before God had been removed. By this time, the tears were running down his cheeks, and he nodded his head when I asked him, "Do you feel this burden on your heart today?" We prayed together, and never shall I forget the smile of peace and assurance that lit up his face as he said that his burden was lifted. Later that night, sitting by the fireside with paper and pen, I could not get the thought out of my mind. His burden was lifted. I started writing and the words flowed onto the paper. The tune was written at the same sitting, but never for a moment did I imagine that this little hymn would become a favorite throughout the world. Since that time, I hear of people all over the world who are being blessed and saved through the singing of this song. But what was this song? What was this song that resulted from a time when Moore went to a hospital to be a blessing to this young sailor? However, Moore left, having been blessed to have been there. And so has the whole of Christendom. What is this hymn that came about from a minister's visit to an ailing merchant sailor? Take a listen, and I'll be back.
Days are filled with sorrow and care. Hearts are lonely and drear. Oh, burdens are lifted at Calvary. Calvary, Calvary. Burdens are lifted at Calvary. Jesus is very near. Cast your care on Jesus today. Leave your worry and fear. Oh, burdens are lifted at Calvary. Calvary, Calvary. Burdens are lifted at Calvary. Jesus is very near. He's near. Troubled soul, the Savior can see. and tear. Oh, burdens are lifted at Calvary, Calvary, Calvary. Burdens are lifted at Calvary. Jesus is very, very near. Jesus is very near, very near.
Moore would eventually move from England to Canada, where he served as the minister for the Willowdale Baptist Church in Ontario. He was born in 1925, and he passed away just a few years ago in 2017. Burdens Are Lifted at Calvary was written in 1952, which, in comparison to most of the hymns that we've discussed, makes it something of a new song. Are you burdened today? Are you anxious? There's peace and comfort at the cross of Christ. I've got nothing but big love for you. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.